Are you ready for pain? Are you ready for suffering? If the answer is yes, then you're ready.
Hey there. I want to say big congratulations for being the first ever transgender woman to win this pageant. And you show to so many LGBTQIA people and kids in this world that we are able to do so much in this world and to be there, you know? That not to let people get in our way that don't agree with us. As much as it hurts, we still push through. You know, as me being a 17-year-old pansexual, gender fluid person who uses they, he pronouns, it was tough at first, very tough, but I'm learning and I'm not gonna let anything push me out of the way. I'm still gonna chase for my dreams. And I hope and wish that, you know, you guys know that too. And yeah, big congrats once again. You are doing so well. So happy for you. And let me tell you, girl, you slayed in that dress. Like, you are looking top-notch gorgeous. But yeah, let me get out of here. Bye.
I want to read to you a couple of the thousands of comments I've received as a social media influencer. Maybe you should buy a house with a salad bar. Kim Jong-un, if he was even fatter, and found women's clothes. And simply, gross. These words used to send me into a deep depression, but what got me out was seeing role models on social media living their most authentic lives without a care for negativity. And so I started my own initiative spotlighting those who had faced adversity and could teach others to be queens. But being a queen is not about being perfect. It's about making one small change a day to benefit yourself and your goals, whatever they may be. And so whether or not I walk off this stage with a sash over my chest, I can be proud of myself, knowing that I woke up and decided to thrive instead of just being alive. And I challenge you to take charge and become the leader, well, actually, the queen of your destiny.
I find this train of thought that trans women are transitioning to compete in women's sports incredibly bizarre, because as someone who's gone through hormonal transition and is still doing so, and who has evidence, like personal, circumstantial, anecdotal evidence, that, you know, going through hormone replacement therapy has dramatically changed my strength levels, my power levels overall, do you genuinely, legitimately think that trans women are transitioning to win at women's sports? Especially given, you know, we are under such social pressure in society, being the target of a moral panic right now around our very existence. Who's going to go through the stress and the trauma of transitioning just to win at athletic competitions? Honestly, do you really think that's what's happening here? I'm curious. How do you explain that?
All right, yeah, okay. But this sort of goes along with what I was saying before. Because if that were a guy competing with another man, you know, in boxing or what have you, if he knocked the fuck out of this dude or broke his skull, he would be praised for it. He'd be like, wow, dude, you are like the best. You're so fucking good at what you do. But when it's women, they're like, oh, they're too good. The women can't handle it. It's unfair to the poor, weak women. And even aside from trans women, there is literally like a restriction from the IAAF. I'm not saying the whole shebang, but there is a restriction on like how high your testosterone levels can be, even as a cis woman. Like, that's just the human body. They can't just let them compete.
There's a lot of talk about the bone density of trans women in relation to sport. Opponents of trans women athletes say our bones are too dense to compete with cis women. But did you know that there are racial differences in bone density? Did you know that many cis women have more dense bones than cis men? Specifically, many black cisgender women have more dense bones when compared to white cisgender men. So, does this mean that black cisgender women are more of a danger to women's sports, especially in the sport of MMA, where we are punching and kicking each other? No, they aren't. And neither are trans women in sports. Bring this up the next time someone says trans women have an advantage in sports because of bone density.
Okay, first of all, she's not ranked number 1. She won 1 race. In that same competition, she had 2 other races. In one of them, she placed 5th, and in the other, she placed 8th. 27 all-time NCAA records were broken during that competition. Leah Thomas didn't break any records. So this is misleading. The argument is Leah Thomas has successfully regendered hormonally. Her testosterone and hemoglobin are that of a cisgendered female. She lost a significant amount of muscle mass and an inch off her height. Any other advantage that you're perceiving is a natural body variation that could easily be found in cisgendered females too. That being said, I get it. When you look at Leah Thomas, it does appear that she has a body type advantage. So how do we know that it is a natural variation advantage and not a trans advantage? Trans female athletes have been allowed to compete in the NCAA since 2003. If this were a trans issue, they would all be dominating. And Leah Thomas would be dominating in every event, not just one. She's got good genes and she works hard.
The first transgender woman has won an American beauty pageant, and holy, the coverage has been so transphobic. So I thought I would say some nice things. 1, to everyone who types her name as Brian, no, it's not. Go to her Instagram and copy paste her name. It's Brianne Nguyen. Not every name has to be Americanized for your convenience. 2, look at her. She is a tall queen. I will fight you on this, especially if you are Jordan Peterson sitting in your dark corner, weary-eyed, tears streaming down your hollow cheeks, typing, "Sorry, not beautiful, and no amount of authoritarian tolerance is gonna change that." 3, to the person commenting, "Oh, she was born a male, yada yada, whatever." Who gives a why are you so invested in a beauty pageant that includes minors?
I'm Hannah Mounsey. Pronouns are she and her. And look, I'm a handball player.
100 kilos and blessed with a mighty kicking boot, Hannah Mounsey should have been a shoo-in to play at the elite level of the women's Aussie Rules competition.
I'm a little conflicted about this one, friend. Confusion is living here, friend. I have mixed feelings about it. First, we got to break down all the facts. Transgender women are not completely cut out of swimming competitions. In order to compete, you can't show signs of having gone through any form of male puberty. And or you must have began your medical transition by age 12. Before now, male to female trans women could compete in female sports if they had undergone at least a year of hormone therapy. It takes the average trans woman at least 2 years to break down the muscle mass and the body structure that came along with the male puberty. Now, bitch, you know your girl gotta keep it 100 with you. You know I'm gonna tell you the motherfucking truth, honey. I never really spoke on Leah intentionally because for me, it was always the optics. It was always the optics. We are visual creatures. Sis, it just didn't look good. It just don't look good. It very much gave the perception like you just trampling over all these women, bitch. And bitch, let's keep it 100. You a strong girl. You a broad girl. You're a big girl, 6'2". Ain't you 6'2"? And there ain't nothing wrong with that. I personally think you're gorgeous, honey. I'm just saying the straight cis people don't get it. It's a lot for them. And how quick they motherfucking forget. Cis women come in all shapes and sizes. Who you got your money on, me or China, bitch? I'm just saying we don't know enough for y'all to be banning people.
Oh no, that sounds terrible. Just awful. Unacceptable. Until you do a little click-clacky on your keyboard or on your phone and realize just how twisted this narrative has become because of right-wing media and people who jump to outrage over things that they do not understand. And then they just play a long game of telephone with that information. And you are now part of that game of telephone. What you're referring to is the MMA match that took place on September 13th, 2014 between transgender fighter Fallon Fox and cisgender fighter Tamika Prince. By the way, in case you missed it, while Fallon is a bit taller than her opponent at 5'7", which is the average height for fighters at that weight class, Tamika's actually heavier. Did we forget that this type of sport has weight classes? Now, the injury you're describing has nothing to do with the jaw. That's something that's been made up over this long game of telephone. Tamika actually suffered an orbital fracture. In MMA, 73.3% of matches have eye injuries. And of those eye injuries, 17% are orbital fractures. It's actually a very common injury. And it occurs with regularity, with an occurrence of approximately 1 injury every 1 to 3 months at top-tier MMA fighting. In fact, in 2019, Molly Meatball McCann suffered the same exact eye injury in a cisgender versus cisgender bout, and still went on to win her match. So it's not even the fight-ending injury that you think it is. When talking transgender people in sports, the first thing anyone ever brings up is Fallon Fox, with no context for the situation, and often the facts are wrong. And now you bring up Leah Thomas as well. Guess why? Because that's what gets reported on. And I'll remind you that that's how sports works. One person wins and one person loses. How many dozens, hundreds even, of trans athletes are out there losing every single day? And you never hear a word about it. And no one ever seems to mind those because this isn't about fairness. The issue you all seem to have is with trans people winning at anything. That's why we started throwing fits about Jeopardy and the Golden Globes. And I'm not saying that the answer for trans people in sports is clear or easy or one size fits all, but uninformed outrage should not be the basis for these decisions. Now, I want you to sit with this information. Please sit with your discomfort. Do not lash out or shut down. And please think about the biases that led to this comment.